So hello, thank you for having me. I'm Jenny. I don't have an informatics background. I actually come from science. I have a PhD in physical oceanography. I think my passion for running operations come from the many years I spent on working on numerical modeling, weather forecasts, and also after weather forecastings in the industrial industry. So as of a few years, I work for a Digitalist. And I'm going to talk today a little bit about our pretty new product, Matomo, that we provide as a SaaS. So just a little bit about the company. So Digitalist Open Tech, what is it about anyway? So one of the main mottos is providing good services for the public sector, avoiding vendor lock-in and fees for licensed programs. The company is based in Sweden, and we're about 60 people working there, some remotely from Europe, like myself. I work here in Italy. And mostly we're providing Drupal websites, but we're also dedicating to exploring new products, like, for instance, web analytics, as I will present today. The last few years, we've been working hard on improving our processes. We were not a startup, but process-wise, you could almost say so. And we have done lots of progress on this field, gaining ISO certifications and all. So a little bit about this presentation, just to not make anyone disappointed. So this will be a pretty overview over the journey we have made in the last couple of years, where we have gone from, let's say, to be positive, creative chaos to being more, providing a more mature product. I will show briefly the technical choices we have made and show you a little bit about this Matomo product. I will not show any detailed info on how we implemented or stuff like that, and I will not go into any bigger detail of the Matomo functionalities either. So, when I joined the company like 3 years ago, this project was a little bit chaotic because we had basically one single person having everything in his head and the rest in the cluster, and the other ones had a really hard time supporting him. The product had been developed in collaboration with a client, so basically we had a production system as if it was almost in dev. We have had to create the structure around this as we were going. So any changes had to be done delicately, step by step, to not disturb the current operations. We had a few on-prem containerized versions of the service, and then a Kubernetes cluster with others deployments, slightly more similar, but still like different. And the maintenance overhead was way too much for our team. It's not so big for 5 people, and especially it was way too much for our SME. So as interest grew in this product, we just realized we cannot support this if we do not mature quickly. So we had to make some important changes to the way we were working. So I'll show you a little bit of what we identified as key factors where we needed to improve. First of all, we needed to choose what tools to use and how to apply it like everywhere to have a good control over our system. Also, we needed absolutely to harmonize the product. We couldn't have any more like this client has this big database, this client has this settings in the SQL configuration because they have more traffic. We needed to have like a common ground, a vanilla setup, you'd say. And this is where we really approached our SaaS concept. Also, there was way too much stuff being done manually. We needed to automate as much as possible of that, also to relieve our poor colleague. And while doing all this, we also realized we can optimize. We just didn't realize what resources we actually needed for our products, and that has also saved speaking of FinOps, the usage of CPU and RAM and everything. So basically, the rules we have set up for ourselves afterwards is no cobos allowed in the cluster. No one can go in and live patch when they feel like it. We go through our configuration generator that we made ourselves in Rust. We decided to use Rancher as a control plane, let's say, over all our clusters that we have. We found it to be a user-friendly tool. Not all of our team members have the same tech depth, let's say, for working with Kubernetes. And this has made it more approachable to all, so we can support each other. And we have created a half-automated deploy procedure with ArgoCD. I say half because we could make it fully automated, but we don't feel like we're quite there yet. So we have a manual step where we check and then deploy. And we had monitoring and alerts also before, but now it's much more improved. And the last statistics is very important, speaking of if you want to quit your job or not, but the mental health in my ops team went up like by 100%. Everybody are much more happy and less stressed out. So I think one of the pieces that we spoke most or discussed most before starting off was what are we going to do with all these YAMLs for the deployment code. We needed a way to constrain and avoid our deployments from diverting. And we looked at the existing alternatives, because there are, of course, YAML creators already, but we decided that for our needs, we needed a specific tool that could handle also the creation of our cron jobs and containing queries and other complex info that we needed to retrieve from the cluster. So what we have come up with, each client has just this very simple configuration file with just a few couple of informations, how big a database it will need, the tracking domain that should be configured for the internet, for the site tracking. And yeah, also Matomo comes with premium plugins. So if the client is interested in acquiring them, we define that also here in their customer overrides, let's say. So just a few words of Rancher, why we chose that. So as I mentioned, it makes everything for us much more easy to deploy new clusters, for upgrading them, for keeping everything under control, to keep a constant eye over your general cluster health and workload distribution. We are using Prometheus, and we also recently introduced Neuvector, which we have found to be a good help, basically auditing our system for us. They provide many services, way too many to go into detail, but we have found it particularly useful, apart from the security scanning, the risk review and improvement tool, which provides you with a checklist of stuff that you need to look into in your cluster. So a little bit about our deploy procedure. So we have this homemade Rust tool to generate the deployment configuration files that we keep in GitLab, and in service windows we activate the push through ArgoCD out in the cluster. And it has been a great help for us to keep everything under control. Before syncing anything, you have a really good view of what do I have live in the cluster now. Did someone enter and change something behind our backs? Sometimes that happens, I'm sorry to say. But it gives you a really clear view of what am I pushing out and what is the current situation. So no more surprises. And the rollback function is actually, we tried it and it works very well. Just a few comments on the monitoring and alert management. So we use the Prometheus and Loki for logging. We have Grafana dashboards like most people do. And the alert management is coupled with Upstreamly, so we get pinged. Not at night, fortunately, but we get pinged if there is something going on in the cluster that needs to be attended to. So a little bit on the outlook. Of course, there is always stuff to do when you have clusters and applications in it, but what we would want to do is continue working on the CI/CD and the testing with image scanning and all. And we are considering at a certain point when we feel mature enough to go to fully automated deploy procedure, so push and automatically update the applications. We have one last snowflake containerized that we will migrate, and I guess those are like biggest things we have on schedule. So now I just wanted to mention a little bit about Matomo. Maybe someone knows about it. Have any one of you worked with web analytics and Matomo? No? So, okay, someone. Because of the GDPR laws, you cannot, or you shouldn't use Google Analytics anymore, at least in Europe, for tracking your website. And Matomo would be an option. It's it's the largest open source alternative for web analytics, and it is the most used in the public sector in EU. Matomo has many strengths. It's great for data collection and privacy. It has lots of plugins. It also has other features like scanning your sites for bugs, bot tracking, heat maps, and it has a dashboard to display its data. But there are some limitations, and it's mostly performance related. Making queries for big data sets is pretty slow. And it's also pretty limited for how you apply filters and combine data. And we, based on the feedback from our clients, we realized that there is need or request for another type of dashboard to make reports and analyzing your data. So we created ourselves RebelMetrics. It is based on open source software. It's based on Superset and ClickHouse and Postgres. And you would say, why? Well, it's not to replace Matomo at all. It's intended as an extra feature for deep analysis of your data. You're able to combine and explore your data in a more extensive way. It has a very user-friendly GUI, and you can design your dashboards any way you want. So I must admit I chickened out. I was supposed to demo, but I figured I'll go for screenshots. So I will just show a couple of examples where we present the data in a way that Matomo couldn't have due to the restricted features it has in some sense. So this is just as a background. This is a dash shows you traffic going on your website. You can see the map where the traffic is coming from geographically and other informations. If you want to query your Matomo database, there are different ways to do that. You can do it through the API or custom SQLs. Through the API, you can only make really simple queries, so it's pretty limited in the sort of analysis you can make. The custom SQLs are good. You can get any kind of information, but it proves to be very slow, and it occasionally has performance issues. So what we have done is that we have created a data export. This way we have a good read speed, and we can manipulate the data any way we want. So this is just a very simple chart. So we have, for those customers that are interested in this additional dashboard, we attach a cron job nightly that exports the Matomo data and stores it in a Swift storage. It's one file per day. And on the other end, we have an import job that pulls in this data into the ClickHouse database that is connected to their client setup, so it's isolated. This is then made available through the Apache Superset dashboard, which, by the way, was developed for Airbnb, I think, from the beginning. So these are a few case examples. For instance, Vattenfall is an energy provider. They wanted to be able to combine statistics from their many sites. It's a global company, and they wanted to be able to make historical segmentation for markets. And we created this mock-up for them, and they were very happy with it. So it's possible to merge together all the data from the different sites, and well, these are the stats they were interested in, and this is what it looks like basically. Then we have this other client, Human Rights Watch. They wanted to present statistics based on the last week's publishings and also make advanced combinations of their data. So we did this for them. And I believe this is the last one. This is Naturvårdsverket, so it's Swedish. It's the Department of or does it say here? The Environmental Ministry of Sweden. And they also wanted custom metrics and be able to do advanced segmentation of historical data. And here we go. So I think I went way too fast. I'm already at the questions.
It's okay. It's okay. It's not too fast. We have room for maybe some questions. Also about your experience. You define yourself as a scientist, which I loved your definition. But first, yeah. Questions. still have some time. Yeah, I'm coming to you. Hold on.
Thank you, Jenny, for the presentation. I'm curious about the Swedish way to approach the CRA. I mean, the Cyber Resilience Act. And the question is because I guess that Italy will face it after October 2024. And I guess maybe Sweden got it before. Maybe you have to apply the Cyber Resilience Act before the same date we have. So my question was, you are dealing with public website or ministry or something like that. Do you have to take care of the software supply chain security? You have to prove something, or you need to certify part of your solution just to respect or to have, to respect this kind of law that they will be approved. They are already approved in EU, but in Italy, I know that they should be real in October this year. So I don't know if it's in Sweden, is before, or if it's already there, or if it's in the future.
I can't say the exact date, but I would almost assume it's the same as in Italy. I know that we have started to work harder on producing also documentation, the SBOM, and everything. I believe, like for any company at these times, we're reviewing the attack surface of our services. So yeah, I can't give no, not yet.
All the questions, also online. You still have time to write your question in the QA section.
Maybe I can say something. So
of course, yes. I'm
I would also,
a little bit curious,
if I
also,
may.
but
yeah.
Go on.
We are very interested in collaborating with Italian people, companies. If you have any interest in using Matomo, we also provide consulting. If you have maybe on your own Matomo set up on your servers, but you have issues with it, we have a good group of experts that are happy to provide support. So it's not only like our hosted solution, and
fresh experience. Yeah, also because if I'm not wrong, I'm very far from the front end, let's say. So, and also analytics. I mean, I'm on the side of more close to the infrastructure, but I also heard that there are upcoming changes that you were speaking also about the regulations in the EU, and I heard the word cookieless. Is it possible that the new system of analytics need to work without? I have no idea. Just rumors, but maybe someone knows about. Okay. Maybe I'm off topic, but just checking again the website. No, yeah, so out of my curiosity, why do you define yourself as a scientist? And what's the difference between the software engineer? I was really, so I'm a scientist. Wow,
yeah, there is a logical thread to all of this.
Yeah, go on, I'm curious. If you would like to answer.
Yeah. No, I guess I ended up in this for my personal interest. I used to work for a company providing weather forecasts and data for flight optimization. And over time ended up more and more to work with the actual cloud and migration from on-prem applications to cloud. And I found it really interesting. So then when
yeah, I see this connection with the scientific method. It's try, observe, and then adjust. That's something that is really at the core of also agile development, DevOps, and so on. We always look for feedback.
Yeah, so hoping to build solid systems available.
Yeah.
Always,
so I was trying to understand the connection that. What time? I see a hand. No. Okay. Question?
AWS in public. Allora, noi utilizziamo AWS. è possibile.
Do it in Italian and then I translate. Okay.
Utilizziamo AWS. Ok. Noi comunque utilizziamo AWS come un cloud pubblico, no? È possibile utilizzare Matomo deployare Matomo in AWS? Cioè c'è la possibilità? Quali sono sono i costi aggiuntivi? Si può utilizzare Matomo come
Yes,
Yeah.
you can.
Just
yeah.
for the
Yes.
record, yeah, the question is about using Matomo on AWS and cost connected and in real world experience, if you have any insight maybe, if it's possible.
Yeah, it is possible. In our case, we have our clusters on a Sweden-hosted infrastructure because it's a requirement for our public sector clients that the data doesn't travel outside of Sweden. But you can, of course, deploy it in AWS. I couldn't estimate the costs of it.
Yeah, maybe it really depends on the
But
the
you could
complexity of the
basically
solution, for
deploy
sure.
it anywhere. Yeah.
People after the icebreaker.
So you told at the beginning that you changed the way the company was structured. You had one main person and many satellite small projects. In your experience, what was the most important driving factor to force this kind of change to be accepted also in the people already collaborating in the company?
Good question. I suppose the driving force came from the request of the product. We had to change because otherwise we wouldn't be able to provide it at scale. And also the dependency of basically one person doing all the work himself. We have had animated discussions about how to keep our configuration files under control. We went for a self-created tool in Rust. I can't say the entire team loves it, but that's the way it went. Because, there are many good things. Rust is a very efficient language, and it does everything we need it to do. But some people feel like they can't handle it. If there were to be issues with the code, they would need to really look into. So we have gone a good step ahead, making the product more manageable, but I suppose that piece is still a delicate topic in the group. But some language had to do it. So there were other preferences maybe by others to do it with Go or whatever, but we couldn't really find language that was good for everybody, so we just picked this one.
Thank you. Still have a few minutes if you want. Otherwise, I will recap a little bit of important things before the lunch break. And then, okay, I checked again our remote platform. There is a lot of people connected from the stream, but maybe they are shy. Okay. Remember, can you go back to the slide?
Yes, of course.
There is a QR code.
Yeah.
You can leave feedback. Before the lunch break, important things. Remember that you can ask for particular food that you need. If you have something that you cannot eat, just look for yellow people or ask to the hotel staff. So, what else? That's all the important things. Thank you again for sharing your experience with us. Big applause.